So today's show is all about putting a creative spin on veggies, and this is going to be a really fun take on incorporating veggies because we're making flourless fudge brownies. And I know you never thought about putting a veggie in a brownie before, but I'm going to show you how we do it, and I promise you no one will even know that it's in there. So I'm going to do 2/3 cups of the sweet potato. Now, I'm just gonna measure it roughly. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's gonna be about 1 large sweet potato is what that will come out to. So I just microwaved the sweet potato first, and then I smashed it up a little bit. And you can see how I did that just really simply with a fork. So I actually microwaved it for about 4 to 5 minutes, just till it was soft, and then smashed it up. So that's about 1/3 cup, and I'm gonna add everything to a bowl. Then we're gonna add some nut butter. I'm just gonna get this out of the way. So for nut butter, you could do any kind of nut butter that you like. You could do peanut butter, you could do almond butter, and I just chose creamy peanut butter for this recipe because it's what I always have on hand, especially with a 2-year-old. And speaking of 2-year-olds, this recipe is absolutely one of her favorites, and I love it as well because it gets her to have a good dose of nutrition in with what she thinks is just eating a sweet treat. So we have 1 cup of nut butter I'm gonna measure here. And Maddie, my daughter, she has really given me a run for my money when it comes to eating healthy. And so I really feel like I can speak from experience when I say it's not always easy to get your kids to eat their veggies. You know, for me, a long time in the making, I have been learning all kinds of new tricks when it comes to feeding her healthy. And I would say in the beginning, I tried as much as I could just to model eating healthy. I don't always love the idea and the approach of sneaking veggies in. So I thought, well, you know, if she sees me eating broccoli and cauliflower all the time, that'll be perfect. But for her, it was a little bit more work. And so I realized that pretty early on. So I realized I had to get more creative and kind of hide them where I could. So there's no shame. However you can get your picky eaters to eat their veggies is a great way to do it if they're getting them in. And then I have 2 eggs I'm gonna add to the wet ingredients here. And I'm just gonna do all the wet ingredients first in the bowl. Then I'm gonna add my dry ingredients. Then we're gonna add 2/3 cup of maple syrup. So you could do honey or you could do maple syrup, whichever you prefer. I actually like to use with syrup a monk fruit sweetened syrup. So you can get that online a lot of times, but you could also just use organic maple syrup. So now I'm just gonna kind of stir these wet ingredients together until they're somewhat combined. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now I'm gonna add my dry ingredients. It's very simple. We just have a few simple dry ingredients here. We have 2/3 cup of cocoa powder. And that's gonna add a lot of chocolate flavor and make them very moist and fudgy as well. And then we're gonna have 2/3 cup of sweetener. Now I use monk fruit sweetener for this recipe, but you can use any kind of sweetener you like. And then 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So we're just gonna fold that in, get everything well combined. So we're just gonna scoop this batter into the muffin tin here. And then we're gonna bake these fudgy brownie bites for about 25 to 30 minutes in a 350-degree oven. And we're gonna top them with chocolate chips just before we pop them in the oven.